Jesus said to his disciples, "There will be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars, and on the earth distress among nations, confused by the roaring of the sea and the waves. People will faint from fear and foreboding of what is coming upon the world, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with glory and great power. Now, when these things begin to take place, stand up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near." Then he told them a parable. "Look at the fig tree and all the trees. As soon as they sprout leaves, you can see for yourself and know that summer is already near. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that the kingdom of God is near. Truly, I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Be on guard, so that your hearts are not weighed down with dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of this life, and that day catch you unexpectedly like a trap. For it will come upon all who live on the face of the whole earth. Be alert at all times, praying that you may have the strength to escape all these things that will take place and to stand before the Son of Man." This is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Please sit down. There's a lot of cloud about at this time of year. I don't mean in the weather, but in our readings. Last Sunday, we heard about someone coming with clouds, both in the book of Daniel and in Revelation. An image that inspired Charles Wesley to write our first hymn, "Lo, he comes with clouds descending." And we find that the clouds are still there in today's gospel. The cloud has not obscured the transition from one church year to the next. The altar frontal has changed from a magnificent, elaborate, multicolored embroidery to a plainer purple. We have moved from a season of joyful recognition of Christ as King to the start of a new year with a more thoughtful time of reflection and anticipation. Now it is Advent, and we have lit our first candle for hope. Hope's an ambiguous word. Well, has lots of meanings, let's say. You could use it as expressing doubt and uncertainty. I hope you're feeling better. That's kind of positive. I hope I win the lottery. I've got no idea. But for Jeremiah, hope is very different. Think of his situation. The Babylonians have invaded. Solomon's temple has been destroyed. Thousands have been killed or deported. National lands have been lost. And political independence has ended. And among all that, Jeremiah's faith remains strong. He maintains his trust and loyalty to God, and even in that cloud of catastrophe, he maintains his vision that God remains in control. He speaks words of encouragement and confident expectation. The expectation of a Messiah from David's line who will save them, and there will again be justice and safety in the land. What a great introduction to Advent. Our preparation for Christmas, that time when this year we'll be concentrating on Luke and his wonderful stories of the Annunciation, of the baby in a manger, angels singing, shepherds keeping watch, and much more. So today's reading from Luke may seem an unexpected choice. We are nowhere near the birth of the vulnerable baby at Bethlehem. In the story we heard, we are at the end of Jesus' earthly ministry. It's Holy Week, and Jesus is in the temple. It's only days before the crucifixion. He has already caused uproar in the temple by driving out those who were selling there, and he has told a spellbound audience that the religious leaders are hypocritical crooks. Jesus warns that things are going to get bad, just as they were in Jeremiah's time. The temple will be destroyed again. There are going to be wars, famines, plagues. His followers are going to be hated, arrested, tried, and some will be executed. But our readings do not maintain that note. Even though he knows what is going to happen to him, Jesus speaks words of hope. When these things happen, look up. See the Son of Man coming in a cloud with great glory. And that brings me back to the first line of our first hymn this morning. Lo, he comes with clouds descending. In the Bible, clouds are often a symbol of the divine presence, of glory concealed. The Israelites trekked through the wilderness with the pillar of cloud by day, assuring them of God's continuing presence. And we read of cloud at the Transfiguration and the Ascension, again a symbol of glory concealed. Years ago, I used to live in rural Leicestershire, and it was the custom of our parish priest to give his church wardens in the 3 parishes a Lent book each year. Not the same book for all, but carefully chosen for each recipient. I think he felt that I could usefully be led a little deeper than what in retrospect may have been a tendency to biblical literalism. It was 1984, the year, not the book. I know the year as I still have his handwritten bookmark in it. He gave me a book called The Cloud of Unknowing, a book by a 14th century Christian mystic. And he was right. It was something I needed to think about. I was transformed. The book's main theme is that God cannot be grasped by our intellect, and that only love can pierce the cloud of unknowing, the cloud that lies between an individual and God. It's a strange idea, but as I started to read the book, I found I was devouring it. It's not very long, but I just had to keep going. It's one of those books that you can't put down. The writer says that this cloud is always going to be between us and God, in a sense. It's a cloud concealing glory, not something to be depressed about, but something to look more deeply into and to try to see through it. The cloud says to me, there is always more. And as we travel through Advent, we have an opportunity to enter further into the cloud, that cloud of glory concealed. The cloud that is part of our sensing God's love for us, the love that we see in Jesus. And if, when we think about Jesus' incarnation or his passion, we find that cloud to be a problem, we don't know what to say or how to respond, the author of the book suggests that we pierce that thick cloud with the sharp dart of longing love. Love God through the cloud. Now, Advent is a time for two parallel focuses, I think. One focusing on Jesus, preparing to celebrate his birth. But also it's a time to look forward to the fulfillment of God's kingdom here on earth. So as well as Jesus' nativity and practical preparations for Christmas, we are called to continue our work to bring in the kingdom. And when we experience instability and uncertainty, insecurity, our faith calls us to trust Jesus' words. Be alert, stand up, raise your heads, see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. That is our hope.